My Design Rules White Box exclusive behind the scenes series. Begin with Buco.
We're at the first plot of My Design Rules. All the three designs are similar for the contestants to make sure they can get the same opportunity. But this one's layout is quite nice. Gives you that northern sunlight, a little bit of less wind from the south. We're on the second site here of My Design Rules. Last week there was nothing here. We're just doing the base now. We're doing the raft foundation. That's going in quite nicely, so there will be a big difference in the next few weeks. House number 3. I'm actually very excited about this one. This one is unique. Very close to the clubhouse. You're going to have a walking distance. I'd probably say a private paddle court to yourself at night if you want. What makes this one very, very nice is you got that lovely mountain views in the back from your balcony. This really, really excites me to see this going up slowly and to get to a point where we can get the contestants in and see what they can do.
My mammoth job is to actually tie this whole project together, try and deliver a project in a space that is allocated because there is a certain time limit for this. And to also take any delays or anything into perspective to make sure this thing happens in the allocated time frame that we've got. On my schedule that I set up, I even put in all the materials lists already married into it. And when we do the schedule updates, it will kick us 2 weeks in advance what all materials we will need. Then we can pull it off the schedule and send it forward to all the suppliers like Buco, Bergstreme, to when the concrete will need to be ready in that. With the schedule and keeping it up to date, everybody involved has got a clear picture when it will need to happen.
We are here this morning in Paul Filet, and Paul is already buzzing with people. This is really the city where the early bird catches the worm. We are here today doing one of the most important things when it comes to a building, and that is casting our foundations. We are joined here this morning by Jean. Kan jy vir ons 'n klein bietjie meer vertel oor presies wat vandag gaan gebeur?
All right, so here we have our damp course membrane, our DPC, and our reinforcing steel. It's all tied together with wire ties as we're building the cage up. It's there just to allow for stiffening in the concrete. That's why it's also called a reinforcing steel. Then further on we have our first fixes for our electrical that's been put in place. And all these little white pipes that you'll see everywhere is the conduiting. That allows for us to pull the wires through the concrete after it's been cast, so we don't need to stand and chip and chase through everything later on. And then of course we've also got our plumbing fittings. So this would be a full bore for internal downpipe, and then of course we've got our stacks going up, and we've already prepped all our water feed pipes that have to go to their certain places. And then these are what looks a bit challenging sometimes. It is our reinforcing steel for our reinforced concrete columns. So ons het die pomp vandag van Bergstreme op site en ons gaan nou vandag die beton gooi vir al die fondasie. Nou soos jy weet, fondasie is die belangrikste deel van die bouproses. Sterke fondasie, dan loop die projek goed altyd deur.
So Bergstreme is a specialized ready-mix concrete supplier. We supply concrete mixes that goes to very high priority jobs. For example, a 100 MPa foundation for a building, red pigment concrete, you get self-healing concrete, all those type of concrete that you can't mix yourself. Everything starts with the receiving of the raw materials. We receive and use our own aggregate. The material gets delivered at our plant, we manage it, we drop that onto the scales that then gets batched according to a command batch system into our ready-mix trucks. So we use extended fly ash in our mixes, plasticizers as well. That helps us reduce cement content in that mix. That in actual fact then reduces your carbon footprint of the production of that cement at our kilns.
Can you explain a little bit more what happens behind the scenes? I know we're seeing this truck standing here now, but this morning, obviously hours before this, there was stuff happening that we don't know of. And what will happen after this monstrous arm has reached out over our foundation?
In the morning, logistic-wise, we get all the trucks lined up for the pour that we're going to do. So on this specific pour, we're going to plan about 12 trucks, 10 to 12 trucks. Trucks will line up, they'll arrive here. First, we have our lab here. They'll assess the slump, make sure the consistency of the slump is correct. Then we hand the truck over to the pump crew. They will start pumping it, priming the pump, and then they will start discharging and pumping it into the floor. A lot of logistics go into the planning with regards to getting the intervals between the trucks and the tempo correct. If you've got a lot of gaps between the trucks, you can get cold joints on the side. So it's very important for us to plan that up front. The important factor of this mix as well, it shouldn't be too high slump. In other words, flowing too much. You don't want it to run off in between your rebar. You want it to be nice and consistent, exactly like the customer required it.
There's so much that goes into the pre-mixing, stuff that we don't think of beforehand. Can you elaborate even a little bit more about the technicalities and the curing of concrete?
So that's what makes us one of the leaders in terms of concrete supply. AfriSam, we've been around for more than 90 years, and we've learned a few things in that time. It's just the flow of trucks, the consistency of the concrete. There's a 30 MPa that's going into this, our foundations, and by 7 days it needs to achieve 70% of that strength. So in order to do that, there's a curing that needs to take place. So the process of curing is basically just keeping the moisture controlled so that it doesn't lose the actual internal water that's in the mix. Otherwise you get cracking and shrinkage and that.
By the sounds of it, it's almost like a construction cake that we're baking here. The dough can't sit too long, the concrete can't sit too long. There's so many small technicalities and the science behind it is crazy.
And I think, like you said, the proof is in the pudding, it's in the tasting of the cake. So in the same way with the concrete, we do testing afterwards to check whether the concrete has achieved its 7-day strength, 14-day strength, and then the 28-day strength, which is the characteristic design strength.
Die volgende proses is baie belangrik, dis die cubes wat ons gaan maak. So hulle sal 'n representative sample vat van die trok. Vreeslik belangrik dat hulle die sample in die middel van die trok vat. So hy gaan 2 layers van 25 tampering doen en dan as die cubes klaar is, maak dit level en dan weet ons dit 'n mooi representative sample. Dis baie belangrik ook wanneer hulle die cubes gaan set. Hy moet reguit set. So hy moenie skeef of enigiets set nie, reguit set. En daai sterktes wat hulle dan daar uit kry, word met die ingenieurs bespreek en present en dan kan hulle bepaal wat die sterkte is op daai vloere wat hulle doen en dan weet hulle die kwaliteit is reg.
For me, it's really important to know that after these 28 days, we will have a foundation that I know will last for the next 100 plus years. Foundations are definitely the most important thing when it comes to any construction and any building, and I'm so happy that we can have AfriSam.
Subscribe now and never miss an episode.